What's going on, guys? I have a super cool treat for you. I have a special member of our coaching program here with me today, and his name's Jake. He's been in the program for a couple of months. He's having outrageous success. I want you guys to hear his story, have him talk about kind of what it's like in the coaching program, some of the success that he has had being a first-time real estate investor, a first-time Section 8 landlord, some of the trials, tribulations, things he's learned in such a short amount of time. Jake, appreciate you coming on here today, my man.
Absolutely, man. I'm really excited to be here and share my story. It's been a pretty fun ride, quick ride so far. But everything's been going great, and I love to share everything that's been going on.
Well, that's awesome, man. So Jake, tell everybody a little bit about your real estate background before we kind of started together.
So for me personally, my uncle, when I grew up, had a development company on the Jersey Shore, and I was the guy that cleaned up the houses, threw away the garbage. So the inspectors will, won't get on him for that, and township won't get on him for that. Or then I graduated, I became the painter. So I always had just stuff like that, and I always had a background in real estate, building, and so I definitely wanted to get involved and do something with that. So I think that's kind of what struck my interest in real estate personally. And then I started doing, a little more research. So found you into the Section 8 stuff, especially, with COVID had happened during the time when I was kind of really getting involved in wanting to figure out what I wanted to do. And I think having a guaranteed income was one of the biggest things, rather than, getting scared of somebody not paying rent or just stuff like that. So I think that became a very good idea and safe investment for my money, where I wanted to put my money.
Right. And you're right on. A lot of first-time investors, they want to get into something that is safe, right? It's safer than a rental where they're afraid that they're going to lose rent. You have
Right.
guaranteed income. So Jake, when did you and I start together? When did you first buy the property on Denison Avenue in Birmingham? When was that?
Oh man, I think we started talking in November-ish.
Yeah.
Late
When was
November.
when was the close on that? Do you remember?
So I think we started, man, I think the closing on that Denison house, my first one, was the beginning of January.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was my first one. I mean, I don't know how much you want me to get into here with all the houses and stuff, but
I want you to get into everything. I want you to tell the people at home what this has been for you. So you're talking about closing on your first property in January. When did you realize in that process, hey, I love this, I want to get into more?
right. I think, okay, for me, I think when I was really, really extremely got excited and interesting about this, as when I was talking to you, we had everything set in stone. We had the process right in front of me. And I honestly you could make mistakes, obviously, but I couldn't make any mistakes. I knew exactly what I needed to do. If I had a question, I was able to call you, who has done it. I don't even know how many times you've done it by now, but kind of just going through it. I knew exactly who to call. I knew if I had an issue, I had a guy for that. When something needed to be done, when I got done the rehab on the house, or when rehab needed to be done, I had the contractor, called him. He told me everything's done. Talk to somebody else. You know what I mean? What for the next process?
Right.
And I think being able to have everything structured was the biggest thing for me, because if I did that on my own, I would have a lot of trouble with I think I would have made a lot of mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
but I think everything, like I said, once you have those steps, you kind of learn how quick everything can happen, how quickly you could scale your portfolio, and how quickly you can buy these things and get them rehabbed and get a tenant in there.
Right. And Jake, how many houses do you have now?
So currently, I personally I own two. I own, and then I have a partner that I went into this with, and we also own two as well. So like I said, I think we started talking. I didn't pull any triggers until the middle of December, but I think we started talking in the end of November together about this. And what's it now? Middle of March. I got four ready to go and not stopping anytime soon.
Unbelievable. I mean,
Mhm.
this is possible, right? You're doing this.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
right. And it's crazy because people are like, oh, the price point, it's crazy, it's not real, it's impossible. It's so real.
So
And
real.
it's happening. Look at you. You closed on your first one beginning of January, right?
Right.
Or 2.5 months later, you have four.
It's unbelievable. I mean, the biggest thing is, I think my biggest thing for me was just doing it, because I had, I think a lot of people struggle with sending that wire for the first time, or like really just really getting head in on this stuff. And I think that's where the first part people struggle. I even was hesitant about it because it's scary, especially as your first investment. Like I'm young, so like I haven't really like had any like form of training in this stuff, or you just got to get head on. You got to learn yourself. Um,
Jake,
but it's good to have someone behind you.
right. I'm sorry to cut you off. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay. And you own four properties in Birmingham, Alabama. They're all going to be Section 8.
Correct.
How many other 24-year-olds own four rental properties in the United States?
Hey, I still got a few months until my birthday, so we might be picking up a few more here.
We're definitely picking up more. We're definitely picking up more because you're sending me listings every day, and we're going through them, and there are some really, really good opportunities there. But so Jake, how long was your first property? So your first ever Section 8 rental property. What were some of the things that you ran into that were troubling, things you didn't expect, and some things that we had to navigate through?
So my first one, it's tough to remember all the houses together, but my first one, I think we had
a little humble brag there.
we had I think we had some issues with, we didn't know if the roof was going to be okay on one of the houses. We talked about that. Just honestly, just every house has their own like specific thing that can be dealt with, but it's nothing that no one's ever seen before. I mean, everybody's seen it a million times, and if there's a problem, you fix it, And I think specifically one of the harder things, like the HVAC units, they may be good to go, but still a problem with them. I think that's one of the problems that I ran into now. I think I can get another however many years out of the one that's there, and it's good. It's just there was a wiring issue that was wrong that like messed things up and made it tough for the tenant that was in there for my first one. So that was one of the issues I ran into. But like I said, you have someone to call and you just get it fixed up and you get it done like that. I think having the people that you have put me in touch with, things get done really quickly, which I really like. I treat the tenants in there, like family, So I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to get things done pretty quickly.
Right. So how have your interactions been with the contracting team, management team, your insurance people that we were able to set you up with? Talk a little bit about how your interactions have gone with them, the communication, how things have been set up. Just kind of dive into that.
Right. So the contracting team's phenomenal. I let them know essentially when I'm closing on a house. The moment that I get an email that they received the wire, our contractor's in there, in the house, ready to go, starting their demo, starting rehab on the house. Management team's great, absolutely phenomenal so far. I mean, whenever there's an issue with the tenant or the tenant needs something fixed, they get in touch with them. They get in touch with me and ask me, "Hey, what do you want to do here? What do you want to do here?" It's just answering a phone call or shooting off a text message. It's the only thing you got to kind of worry about, and it's kind of set up so once you get your whole team structured, you kind of just sit back, not relax, but you sit back and you just answer some phone calls, write back some text messages, and it's simple. It really isn't rocket science, like I keep saying, but it's true.
So that's a fantastic answer, Jake. And I'm going to ask you a question here. And, everybody at home, hold on to your chairs. But Jake, honestly, how many times have you been down to Birmingham to look at your properties in person?
Oh man, so many times. I have not been to Alabama in my entire life.
You have never been.
I
You've
never
never
even stepped foot in Alabama in my life.
So you're telling me this has all been done completely remotely?
I am from Jersey, and it's all been done on my couch in New Jersey, sitting at my desk.
How insane is that?
It's incredible.
And things are going smoothly. They're moving along. Okay. I know a lot of people want to know some questions I get all the time, Jake, and you are a bad example for this because I know what the answer to this is, and this is not as common, but how long was your first rental property Section 8 on the Section 8 rental market for?
Yeah, so we put it up with the property management team. They put it up for us. The next day, 24 hours later, there were 26 applicants that the property manager looked through for my first house. So we got it one day.
What about the inspection? How did our contracting team do with the inspection? How many times did it have to be inspected?
Passed the first time. First one was a good one. Yeah. First one was a good one.
And the first one, getting the first one like that, right? Having the first one be such a home run for you. All that it did was set you on a path of just mayhem. You are on board, you're moving, you're shaking, you're rolling. How have your interactions been with the realtors that you've been?
Oh, great. They're always, you could text them, talk to them, call them whenever you want. They'll always be there on your phone. Whenever, like we talk about, so like I'll go over with you, over some listings that we see. We're like, we're gonna offer a few of these, blah blah blah, and all they do, they have it written up for us in half hour, and it starts the whole process. They've been absolutely phenomenal, and part of the process of why this really works so well is because of them as well. So
right, and it's the team, right? So I know when we got into this, we talked a lot about the team, and you're really kind of understanding why it's so incredibly important to have a team, to have a group of agents, lenders, insurance companies, contractors, management, myself helping you along. But you're really understanding now that you literally have 4 properties, Jake, in 2.5 months. You're just like bulldozing through this. You're 24 years old, soon to be 25. At this rate, you're adding more than a property per month. And in 2021, in December 2021, you had no rental properties.
Nothing. No.
And now you're like a mogul in the making.
Right. Yeah, I think, like you said, what I've learned through talking to you is how important, and I know we keep saying this, how a team is so important, because, with the contractor, he needs something. He tells me how much something's going to cost. We go together, we put the prices together of what we want to be in on the house for. That works out. He starts the rehab, send over the money. Meanwhile, I'm looking at another house listing that I'm looking at for another opportunity. I talk to the realtor, and we put some offers in. Property manager texts me about a tenant that needs something done, or a listing we're listing the house on MLS and stuff like that. That gets done. So everything, it's kind of, you have your team, they're working for you. And now, like we said, another thing was the insurance for the houses. I actually called up the guy the other day for the new one that we got, and he was like, "Jake, what's going on? Like, you got another one? Blah blah blah. What's the address? What's this? What's that?" Gave me the quote, and it's just quick. You know what I mean? Everything, they know what you want to do. You know what they want from you, and that just makes it easier. And it's, like I said, First one was the toughest one. Second one was easier. Third one was easier. Fourth one was even easier. So, you know, when you get 50 down the road, I mean, that 50 first, you know, single family home, it's going to be, you can do your eyes closed.
Right. And you're already starting to learn these processes. Like I remember on these first two houses, you and I were working together, everything. Boom, ret. Yes, Jake, do this, do this, do this, do this. Okay, how's it going? Okay, I'm learning. Then with that third house, it was ret, you know, and now, and then the fourth house, it's, hey, Red, guess what? I just bought another house. You know what I mean? So it's amazing for me to see. And I love it so much because at first you have no idea what you're doing. And I'm walking you through it step by step, literally holding your hand every step of the way for every question. And you're asking the best questions. And then it's less calls because, you know, you feel like, oh, you know, I can do this part now, but I still need Rhett for this. And then it's okay. Let's see what we run into here. And then it's you're a bird and you're flying, you're spreading your wings and you're soaring down the street, buying everything on both sides.
Yeah. And I think in the beginning, it's good to, like, you know, like I'd probably bugged you so much, but it was just, you know, it's good to have assurance on things. And you feel like one word or one thing that you do could throw you off for thousands of dollars when it can, but like realistically it's not. But especially when you're doing that first one, like for me, I remember, you know, I was so I was nervous. I didn't want to make any mistakes. I wanted everything to be perfect. It actually turned out really well, but we didn't run into too many issues with that. But honestly, it's so good to be able to have, like, I know you said holding your hand, but like someone by your side who has been through it and like knows what needs to be done in that specific situation. And your first one, there's going to be hundreds of questions that come up. And now I look back, I think 95% like of those questions were just really just dumb questions that you probably rolled your eyes at me. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's really good to have. And you learn really quick. You learn super fast with these things. So yeah, I mean, now, like you said, I think it's more just when anything run into something big, or if I like a listing, I think I'll still talk to you about it. And, but everything, you know, I'm starting to understand everything a lot better. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
So Jake, what's the goal for you eventually? Talk a little bit about, so you've acquired 4 properties in the last, what is it? 12 and a half weeks, not even less, 10 weeks. Talk a little bit about where you see yourself going, where your goals are.
So I see myself getting up to, I want to get probably about 40 to 50 single family homes. And I want to have that I want them all to be cash flowing. But then as I keep doing single family homes, I would like to try to get into, you know, with the cash from them, try an apartment building or try a multifamily home, try my hand at that to see if there's better returns there, or how that works, you know. I just want to try different things, just, you know, to diversify like what I have and see what works best for me. And especially, you know, if you have that cash flow coming in from the rental properties, you're able to try out some new things, and try your hand, even though you know, something's working, there's maybe another opportunity elsewhere that's also could work out really well. That you can, like I said, what I learned is the first one, I learned so much. So I would be great to do a multifamily home or do an apartment building and learn that too as well. Cause I'm sure you run into 10 times. I mean, there's a ton of different things that you could run into that aren't the same. So, I mean, I'm sure I'll go through you with that, but I think that's probably my main goal for these next year or so, 2 years.
Right. And Jake, what is the goal for you as far as from a working perspective, from like a wealth perspective, passive income perspective? Where do you want to get to in your life from a passive income standpoint to where you'll feel like, hey, I'm good. This is where I want to be. Is that where you see this thing kind of trending?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, you get to a point where, like I said, you try new things. You know what works, and you keep continuing to do that, but you try your hand at other stuff if you have, the income and the cash to do that. And then from there, you try new things. I mean, for me, I love, wheeling and dealing. I love working and being on the phone and trying to find deals. Like, I mean, that's something that especially now, but even before when I didn't even own a home, I was doing. I loved finding like something undervalued, whether it was like a baseball card or if it was um, a home, you know? And so, like, I love the idea of it. And I think for me, I'm continuously going to trend upwards, hopefully, and see where it takes me in the future. But like I said, I'm just going to keep trying to stack on different things. Like, whatever opportunity presents itself, I'm going to try my hand at it.
Right. And Jake, going into this, what were some of your biggest concerns about real estate as a first-time investor? What were some things that you were like afraid of or what weren't sure about? Some uneasiness that you may have felt.
I think one of the main things, and I'm probably speaking for a ton of people, because every time I talk to somebody now about this and ask what I'm doing, they say the same thing. And it's people always try to time the market. And I even myself, like I always just like, oh well, if I time it, if it goes down and I time it perfectly. But realistically, you get in at any time, you have that cash flow coming in, and if you hold it for a while, it's going to get to that point eventually, and it's going to go way higher. I think that was one of my main concerns. Second, I think, like I said earlier in this, COVID, that when I saw, people weren't paying rent and stuff like that. I mean, I was like all in on getting a rental property, and that kind of steered me away a little bit. I was like, whoa, like I couldn't imagine having to pay out of pocket for those houses, like, with a tenant in them. So that was another thing that kind of, stiffened me up a little bit. But I think those are probably two of my biggest concerns.
Right. Right. Now, Jake, now that you've been doing it, okay, and now that you understand the processes, you understand what this can be for you, what are you concerned about now? Where do you have anxiety? Do you have any? Are there things that keep you up at night? Is it excitement? Do you talk about that a little bit?
I think my biggest concern that I'm feeling right now is trying to find another listing. I'm always like, I think that's my biggest thing right now.
Those are good. Those are good problems to have.
Yeah, when I see the name of the Zillow that says sold home, I'm like, I get a little jittery. I'm like, oh man, I lost that one. But no, I mean, you're always, like I said with the code thing, the government is the Section 8. It's guaranteed income. I mean, I don't know if something would ever go differently with that, but that's pretty much probably my biggest concern with what I'm doing now. I'm not worried about the market going up or down because I'm going to hold these houses. Like for me, I'm holding these. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, that's awesome, brother. So real quick, before I let you go, and I appreciate you so much coming on and talking to some other people who might have questions about the coaching program, what it entails and what goes into it. But talk to me a little bit about what's next for you. What are the things on the horizon? You've got 4 properties. Where are you going to go from here?
So I think my biggest thing is like, when doing a cash out refi, I'm going to maybe look into maybe little like bigger homes, more bedrooms, I think. What, you didn't like that one?
No, I love it. I absolutely love it.
No,
You're just cruising like this. And I think it's phenomenal. It makes me so proud. You started with nothing a couple of months ago, and now you have these your sights set on such big things because all you're doing is you're parlaying your success into this. And now you're talking about cash out refinances into like these bigger investments that are just going to set yourself up for so much success down the road.
Right. Yeah. So I think, like I said, my next stage, I think I really want to build this portfolio, what I have right now. I think that's my main focus. I want to grab as many of these as I'm able to and have that cash flow coming in. So right now I'm like, I know there's other things going on. I'm pretty hyper focused on just acquiring as many as I can through this process. I really feel strongly about the team that we have in place. There's a lot of trust. I think that's one of the biggest things. Being able to trust your contractor, being able to trust your realtor, being able to, like, I think that's, especially being in Jersey and not having set foot and seen any of these places, you need to have trust in the people that you work with. And I think our circle is really good, and I want to take advantage of it for these next year, next 2 years, whatever it takes. To like where I feel like, okay, maybe I can start gradually trying some new things.
Unbelievable, my man. You're an inspiration to a lot of people that watch this channel. I know I'm so proud of you and what you've accomplished in such a short time in the program. And I hope the viewers at home, people that are watching this right now, are seeing your story, seeing A, it works, B, it's possible, and then C, anybody can do it. You just need the right guidance, the right team, and the right people in your corner, and you can do this thing. It's not a pipe dream. It's not some BS that someone's trying to sell you on. This is reality. And you are a normal guy, out-of-state investor that is just killing it. You're 24 years old. You have more assets and rental properties than literally probably 99% of the country. And you're so young, you're just going to keep growing and growing and growing. You are the type of guy that can have 100 of these before you're 30 and be done. And
Right.
You're learning so many things right now. You're learning day to day, literally day in, day out. You've never even been to Birmingham, and this is what you're doing. Imagine if you started investing in an area that you lived.
I know.
But you don't have to, and that's the beauty of
That's
it.
right. That's right. I think, like, I just want to touch on this. I think one of the biggest things for that any takeaways that you can get from anybody, these investors, your clients can get from this video, is that pull the trigger. I think that was the hardest thing for me. I think you need to pull the trigger and you need to try it out, because it does work. It does work. And when you see, and yeah, it's going to be in the beginning, like we talked about, it's going to be tough. Like you're going to have a billion different questions, and you're going to, your mind's going to be going one place, and you don't want to make any mistakes. But once you get that first one done, you start your second one, you're like, oh, I've been through this process before, so like I said, I think one of the biggest things is to pull the trigger and do it and try it. You won't regret it.
Jake, I'm so happy for you, man. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for coming on here today. I know there's so many people that will take so much from this. And I'm really happy that you came on, and I look forward to working with you for a long time.
Absolutely, Rhett, man. Thanks for having me. All right.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Have a good one.
You too.